And then there were none. The season's over, Jim. How are you doing? What's happening? This is the Go Long Podcast. Here with Jim Monas. I'm Tyler Dunn. Entertaining finish. The Bengals Rams. It was right down to the wire. We were just kind of bullshitting a little bit before we hit record. Not the best played game, but it was close. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I came away saying that it was fun. It was a fun ending. Well, it was good. It was a good game. It was a really good game. I don't want to take away from it. It was a really good game. We got spoiled. The Bills-Chiefs game, that was like, to me, that was high level football. Like, I think we all came away from that like, what did we really just watch? I think now we can even go back and revisit that and appreciate how how great those two teams are and played that night, especially
this Super Bowl was a big knife to the gut if you're a Bills fan. It really was.
Oh, I agree. Oh, it takes time. Oh, it's going to take time. It's going to take time. Still too soon.
If you're watching that and you're the Buffalo Bills, I mean, you've got to be thinking, man, we really screwed this. It was the opportunity was right there. If your defense can get a stop with 13 seconds left, but they couldn't. But hey, you know what? Let's not live in hindsight.
All right, let's get it.
You're right. I don't want to poo-poo this game. It was entertaining. I would rather have that kind of game than what we had last year with Kansas City, Tampa Bay, where it was pretty much over by the second quarter.
Oh yeah, I don't think last night was a good. Like I said, I thought it was a good game. Yeah. I'm with you.
I think what kind of is giving me pause though is the officiating. The consistency. If you're gonna just do the prison rule kind of game where anything goes and Jalen Ramsey's head can kind of get turned around, fine. I'm fine. You know what? If that's, then the players know, okay, we can be physical. We can toe that line. We can push the limit. Like, you don't, with 2 minutes left, all of a sudden pull the Cincinnati Bengals over for going 42 and a 35. It's like they were just waiting behind a bush, waiting to get them there. It was insane. I mean, Logan Wilson, 3rd and goal from the 8 to be called for defensive holding with the game on the line. I mean, leave it to the NFL to insert themselves, the officials to insert themselves with the season that we've had in it. Sometimes I wonder, are we just kind of bitching about all this officiating because of social media? Because everybody has a mouthpiece to like complain about it. But I don't know, Jim, like all these primetime games, there is something ridiculous in a key moment that happens again and again. And it doesn't make sense. I don't know how you throw a flag there other than the fact that maybe you're looking for a makeup call from that Jalen Ramsey, because it just doesn't make any sense. I'd be livid right now if I was Cincinnati.
Oh, well, this is where I needed to talk. Like I needed therapy. So I bet the under in the game, the total under, I got it at 49 total points. So that Jalen Ramsey penalty or non-penalty, I don't understand. That is the most, there is nothing you can tell me to justify not calling that offensive pass interference. That's ridiculous. He ends up, to me, that's an interception. Like he stopped to make that. He had to stop and come back to that ball. I mean, the receiver, that wasn't even like a good throw. You know what I mean? It was a jump ball. Yeah. And I just.
Was it difficult to see in the moment, watching it at home? I didn't even notice it, but it's their job to notice it, but it was tough.
Watching the replay, and the official said, no, this is my issue. The official said that he did not grab and turn it. I think he said grab and turn. Yeah, he didn't grab and turn the face mask, he said. If Ramsey touched Chase and yanked or not, they're throwing that flag. How do you not throw that flag? I don't know. That's to your point, and then the end of the game, that's disappointing. Like it is. It's disappointing.
That is probably what's most frustrating is when we see a call like that or a non-call like that, and there's no accountability. That after the game, the league is defending the officials, and the NFL officiating account is explaining why they did what they did, and
It's
it doesn't make any sense. Like anybody with a brain that watches that
it's hard.
sees it for
That
what it is.
job
Like
is
just yeah, but just be even after the fact when it's done,
I'm
just
with
be honest. Like
yes.
just own up to it. You know, I'm giving a guy like, Sean McDermott or a head coach or a player grief for not being upfront after a game and explaining something that happens on the
Those
field.
things.
There's never any accountability for officials. And if you say something bad about the officials after the game, you're fined, which is stupid. But I mean, if that really was their
That's funny.
reasoning, I hadn't seen that. That's
I really think about it like that. You're right.
yeah.
They don't
And they're
have to
not full time.
talk about them. You get fined. It's hard, and I don't like it. I hate even spending this much time on officials. But to
Me
your
too. You're
point,
right. You're right.
but yeah, but it's to your. They make it about them when these are game changing, critical moment plays, and it's frustrating. And the world of gambling, like I know it. Don't think for a second. The bigger this gambling gets, which it's not even, I can't even tell you how big it is. I think the state of New York's over 2 billion already.
Oh my God.
It's like, it's going off the charts. But don't think for a second, now that gambling is going to be a little more mainstream and a little more, the market is huge. It's going to come into question for these officials sometimes. I'm just throwing it out there, and I hate it.
I totally agree.
I hate it because I'm a gambler, and I don't. You have to believe that those guys are out there doing the best they can, and they won't fall for it. But it's happened before. Boston College, NBA.
Tim Donaghy.
Yep.
There's so much money. I mean, we're talking
That,
billions with a B, not millions with an M.
that's why now it's like, and does the NFL benefit from a certain team winning?
I don't think we're being conspiracists by bringing this up. I totally agree that
You see what I'm going?
it
Like,
should
what
be
if
in question.
I mean, what if they have a deal with DraftKings or Caesars or somebody, the NFL, and if Caesar says, "Hey, all the money is coming in on the Rams. We need the bank, like we need the Bengals. Bengals, we can all get paid." Crazier things have happened.
It's sickening. And it is, and you know what? Even if it's not true, the fact that we're sitting here talking about it as a realistic possibility is kind of the problem.
I really, really don't think I don't think it's gonna happen.
But it's just so gross how the league has wrapped itself into gambling. It is.
Gross.
The ads are everywhere.
All
It's disgusting.
like when I see Breeze and the Mannings on these
Ugh.
commercials, these guys have never gambled a day in their life. Like it is a straight, like that's not who they are. They don't speak the lingo. They didn't live the life that they
They
just got.
speak the lingo of money. They probably got a good cut to do
Now
those
that's what they
ads.
know. That's what makes me sick about those commercials. Is a straight. I mean, good for them. I don't care. That's just a straight money grab. They're gonna these casinos are gonna put these guys out in front of you to think, oh well, the Mannings and Drew Brees, they gamble. We should too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like the NFL, like right before kickoff, they do this every Super Bowl. It's they push a lot of initiatives, and it's a clear messaging
Right.
from the NFL. Like I don't know. It's on one hand they're trying to show how diverse they are as a league, and they're showing girls playing football, and they want it to be inclusive and great, doing all this stuff right before kickoff so everybody sees it, and then boom, what happens a few minutes later? A gambling ad. And it's like they're kind of all over the place here. NFL kind of all over the place, but All right, we can stop being cynical for a second. There was a Super Bowl
Yeah, I'm
played. It
sorry.
was a good
That was
game.
my fault. That was my fault.
Me
It
too.
really was like, I really was upset that I don't usually, I try not to get too worked up on calls, but that face, man, I couldn't understand it. All right, that's enough. I'm good. I had to get
Okay,
it.
yeah, no, I'm with you. When I was tempted right after the game, I wanted to write about the officiating so bad, and I was like, you know what, we can't just
I'm
talk
not
about the
trying to,
officiating all the time
because it
because the
was a really
Bengals did have
fun,
a chance to win.
yeah,
The Rams did make the plays when they had to make the
no
plays.
doubt. I
That's
mean,
the story here.
that is the story. I mean, we can't, I mean, with those throws Stafford was making on that drive was, that was pretty special. That was special.
Well, let's start with this then, because Matt Stafford, he said it to ESPN right after the game, and it was interesting. Like they asked him about the Cooper Cup relationship, and he
Mhm.
basically said in so many words, like, basically whatever we were doing wasn't working, and I just had to get the ball to Cooper Cup. When they took the ball over, 6.5 minutes to go, Cooper Cup had 6 targets at that point, and I think the Rams had like 29 rushing yards on 18 attempts at that point. So Sean McVay, I mean, they're just running into a brick wall, series to series. It was kind of the Patriots Super Bowl all over again. Maybe not that bad, but McVay was having a rough night. Schematically, what they were trying to do wasn't working, and Odell Beckham Jr. went down.
Uh,
That
that's what
that
I was
didn't help
just going to
at
say.
all. But you
That
still
was
have the
crazy.
best receiver in football, maybe the
No
best
doubt.
player in football, and you're
No doubt.
not just getting him the ball. Like, who cares what coverage they're in? I get it. Scheme, scheme, scheme. This league's all about scheme. That's how 21-3 leads just evaporate because coaches figure something out and boom, you have the 3 touchdown lead. So I get that, but you know what? Sometimes it's not that complicated, and Matt
No.
Stafford decided to not make it complicated. And that throw that you're referencing is one of the best throws you're going to
I
see. I
mean,
mean, it's a no look.
that we'll never see.
He looks
Yeah.
one way to get Von Bell moving one way, then he looks the other way to get him thinking that way, and he holds that glare, that stare, and zips it to Cooper Cup.
Two other underrated throws in that game. On the last drive when Burrow on that very first play on that out, and Ramsey jumped it. That throw was insanely good. He had air on that. Ramsey read that. Ramsey was trying to end the game. He read it. He knew what he was trying to. That was a pick six. But the way Burrow threw that ball was so perfect over him, led him. It was an incredible throw. The other underrated throw, Joe Mixon's touchdown throw, was
Yes.
actually really a pretty throw. I mean, the way he just touched that thing on the move. Those were two really underrated throws of that game. There were some incredible. Just that's the good stuff. Like that was a really good football game. It was a good game.
It was, and I'm with you on Bills Rams and how entertaining
Oh,
and exciting it was, but I do get Bob's point on how easy things seem to come for both offenses, and the fact that it's not coming quite as easy in a Super Bowl is okay with me. It was tough, and
oh yeah, I'm with you.
Aaron Donald,
Oh, I mean, how
when
many?
Cooper
I mean,
Cup does his thing, and then Aaron Donald does his.
it's like he's been doing it. It's like Donald's been doing this for so long, we don't even think about it anymore. Like it's almost, it's what he does.
He played over 1,000 snaps in the regular season, over 1,000 snaps. And if you look at his big plays, they always happen at the end of games, most of them. It's when the offensive linemen are tired. You get to
They
snap
don't have
number
anything left. Yeah,
65, that, you're
yeah,
315 pounds of just sweat and
right.
grime and rolls, and you're just hanging on for dear life. And then Aaron Donald and his freaking 6-pack and God knows how much body fat on him. He's built unlike any defensive lineman in NFL history. It's just asinine, and he's
You
got all
just
the
nailed
energy
it.
in the world, and that's what
Just
happened.
nailed it.
That's what Sean McVay called it on that NFL Films. Have you caught that? He goes, "Oh,
I
so
know
Aaron
I
Donald's
did.
going to make a play,"
Did.
and he did. He brings the guy down with an arm on 3rd and 1, and then he waste. Quentin Spain, Quentin Spain battled. I thought he played
Spain.
well.
Spain's
He
yeah.
played about as hard as he could.
Yeah.
And then in that moment, Aaron Donald gets him. He gets to Joe Burrow. Two things come to mind there for me, Jim. I want to get your take as well. Like, Aaron Donald is superhuman, and he had the big sack, right, to hold him to a field goal. earlier, but God, maybe there's something we don't know with Joe Mixon, but why isn't Joe Mixon out there? Why is it Samaje Perine? Why isn't he fighting harder for a yard? It looked like he
That
made the wrong read too, but he
it
also didn't really
wasn't slow.
drive his legs that hard. And the throw, I mean, that ridiculous, 360 getting taken to the ground throw by Joe Burrow. I get it. Maybe Pirine does have a shot at it, but he didn't. I don't know. He didn't really even dive for the ball. It was a little
Interesting.
strange. Uh, anyways, and then the play calling itself wasn't good. So, the end of the game, are you thinking more Donald is superhuman? What a stop by the Rams, or are you thinking, wow, the Bengals really botched this? They needed 15 yards to get into Evan McPherson range, and terrible play calls and terrible execution.
I thought the sack, I thought that was superhuman. I don't think that was for him to get that edge on Spain like that, and to get that edge and dip like that, and not slow down that quickly. Like Burrow didn't think there was any way he was getting pressure that quickly. Like that was superhuman. That play was. The third, yeah,
Jamar
that third
Chase
down
was
run.
open too. If he had a
It,
second more, Jamar
it's
Chase is
incredible.
wide open.
It is. That's there. I mean, that's the value of like that's what the Bengals. I mean, can they live like that? Like you can't. They got to figure that out. That's a major offseason overhaul they need to make. It's going to be hard. It's hard to win that way when you can't
Right, he
protect.
was sacked more than any quarterback in the NFL. Is it all
Yeah,
the offensive line? Is it
I
anything
I would.
on Burrow not improvising a little bit more?
I feel like Burrow's pretty good. I feel like he gets rid of the ball. I don't think he holds it long. I've watched enough of him to I don't think I think it's the O line. And I hate like just saying that because I don't study that offensive line enough individually to say, hey, there might be three good players, two are just, I don't know. I can't sit there and say what they need to do to fix that O line,
Yeah.
but they need to, I mean, they've invested in it. I mean, some of those guys are high round picks they've made the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean,
But that is scary. I mean,
you could say the same thing about Josh Allen and the Bills. There's that propensity to want to assume that you're going to have these opportunities year in and
oh,
year out. You
it's
don't, I
so
mean, look, there's so many examples. Dan Marino, when he gets to the Super Bowl, everybody assumed he'd be back year in and year out. He never returned to the game. Aaron
I
Rodgers going
still
on a decade.
I still
So
can't
many
believe
great quarterbacks. Dan Fouts. Man, did I
like
fall down a Dan Fouts rabbit hole this
that's
weekend?
right. I love that
Oh,
story.
yeah. I mean, I'm working on that book, and I can't stop watching Fouts and those San Diego Charger teams, and it's insane how much better he was than pretty much every other quarterback for his era, for his
Yep.
time in that offense. But they went to 2 AFC championship games. I mean, they never sniffed the Super Bowl themselves either. So it's I love Joe Burrow as much as anybody, but and I think he'll be back in the Super Bowl because he's that talented. There's no guarantees. How that game ended is going to haunt
Tyler,
Cincinnati for a long time, whether it's the officiating, the
you
play calls, the execute, all of it, all of
no
it.
doubt. Like I always reference the Saints like never made it back
Yeah, Saints.
after we win with all those opportunities. They, the crazy call against the Rams, the Vikings play, the Diggs play against. I mean, that's how hard it is, to get back. Those Saints teams were good enough to win another Super Bowl, and they couldn't even get back. Like that's how hard it is. Just like the Bills, their team. Now we know this. The Bills team is capable of winning a Super Bowl. We know this. Like they are. They've proven it. That they can win a Super Bowl. We've all
So
seen it with
are a
every.
handful of
It's
teams in
hard
the
to get.
AFC.
It's just so hard to get there.
Yeah.
There's so many things that have to go your way to get there.
Who else stood out to you in the Super Bowl that maybe isn't being discussed enough? Any play, any player, any
No,
element from the
I,
game?
I thought Mixon did pretty well. I felt like people thought he wasn't going to do much against that Rams defense. I felt like they could have used him maybe a little more. He seemed to have some pretty nice play, like pretty nice runs. Like,
Yeah.
but I didn't feel like he ever got into like a rhythm. I just feel like, well, we talked about him plenty. I just feel like that's a guy you want him worn out at the end of the game.
Yeah.
If I'm if I'm the Bengals, I want Joe Mixon. Like, I want to get every ounce of his talent on that field, running, receiving, get him the ball. And it takes all it changes the whole dynamic of a game, as we know, with the running game.
15
But
carries, 72 yards, five
yeah, like
receptions for 1 yard.
yeah, that which is strange, I know. But that 15,
Didn't seem like
that's what I'm
enough.
saying. Like, think 15 for 72. Like, that's what there was. He was he was doing well, man. He was having some chunk runs.
Right, because you're gonna slow down the pass rush.
It, it
Those
I would have
defensive
thought,
linemen can't
yeah,
just pin their ears back, and
I don't know.
he's
It's surprising.
I a play that I think is gonna haunt Cincinnati and definitely this player for a long time. There it is, 39, 6 minutes
Yeah.
and 22 seconds left. Tyler Boyd
I was thinking about you on that play,
has his
actually.
first drop of the
Yeah.
season. His
Of
first
the
drop of the
season.
season.
I was thinking
And
about you. I was like, man,
they're they're at their 40-yard line. It would have been close to the first down marker, so you probably go for it even if it's 4th and 1. And you're up at that point 20-16. So you think you're gonna get a field
I,
goal at least. You're gonna
I agree with you.
and
I
give the
agree.
Rams not a lot of time. Right when he dropped that,
Yeah.
I was like, that's the game. I don't know what the way we're trained to
It's
think about the NFL and these quarterbacks and these offenses, that even though Stafford wasn't lights out at that point, you you give
I'm
any team an opening, that's wrap.
I'm such a believer when you see a play that's out of the norm for that player, something's off. That's when you're like, something's off right now. Hold on. Like, Boyd never drops that. Never. All of a sudden, you're like, stuff like that happens. You're like, okay, this is hold on tight.
The way he dropped it too. I mean, it was the alligator arms,
It's not even
anticipating
him. I
contact.
mean, that's not him at all. Like,
He's as tough of a slot receiver as
yeah,
you're gonna
he is
find.
everything you've seen. Yes, no question.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Oh, he had 67 catches on the season for 828 yards, not one drop.
Just rock solid. I know. I know.
Yeah. Um,
So I guess the other thing that'll be interesting, like talking about how hard it is to get back, but are the Rams built? Are the Rams built to make are they built to make a run, or is this just we
they've
got
got a
ours?
window here still,
They
right?
do.
So
Okay.
I mean, obviously, and I wasn't really all in on the Matthew Stafford
No,
uh,
I was kind of, yeah, I was like,
decision, but it obviously paid off. Like what they did for Stafford, Von Miller, Jalen
it's funny.
Ramsey.
I
They
mean,
don't,
not
no
that
first round pick for 7 years in a row, but it's all worth it when you win a Super Bowl. Completely.
he threw 2 picks. I mean, the one was whatever, I guess, whatever, but like, he did throw a lot of interceptions this year. Like, he didn't necessarily he played really well. And to go to a team like that and win them over and all that, I mean, like we talked about on the last pod, they got everything that they needed from that move. It wasn't just the talent, it was the other stuff. It was the last drive toughness. It was his ankle. Like, that didn't look good when he had his ankle rolled up. He and Burrow, like both those guys, to be that, they're so tough. So yeah, Rams got what they. I mean,
But this is why we shouldn't be looking into passer rating numbers, and
no,
I don't even think we should. I get it. Turnovers are huge. It's biggest indicator between wins and losses.
no
But
doubt.
here you have the most sacked quarterback in Joe Burrow, and second in interceptions, by the way. And here you have Matthew Stafford, who threw the most interceptions in the league, including 4 pick sixes. But both of these quarterbacks are going to keep driving the ball downfield through everything. What does Matthew Stafford do on the game-winning drive? He's throwing no-look passes to Cooper Kupp through tight coverage. Like it's the opposite of what you saw out of the league MVP against the
Oh,
49ers,
it's
where
hard
he
to
wasn't
believe.
even testing them down the field at all. It was he does play very concerned about that passer rating and not wanting to turn the ball over, which is a good thing. Like he's historically his touchdown to interception ratio is absurd, Aaron Rodgers. But you get into the playoffs. This
I
is why
can't.
they haven't been back to the Super Bowl for 10 years. It's just
No,
you need to have a fearlessness to your play style that he doesn't have, that a lot of guys don't have. A lot of really good quarterbacks don't have it. And credit to Sean McVay and the Rams for realizing that was in Matt Stafford.
I
And he
agree.
made those throws. And it's
I
not always
agree.
going to be perfect, but he's got a set on him. And he's gonna give you an opportunity down the field. Same with Joe Burrow. So I don't know. I guess with him, that's probably the takeaway. I mean, that throw alone, boom. That's why you made the trade. That's why you did it.
Hmm.
And to answer your question on if it can, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Stafford's going to be good. He's got another, 3-4 years playing like
Oh
this,
yeah,
I'd
I
say.
agree.
Von Miller, I don't know. They gave up a second and third for him. They'll take
Yeah,
whatever they can.
that's
Aaron Donald's not going to retire, right? Like he's not going to
I don't
retire.
think.
I
You
can't
wouldn't
see.
think. I would. I mean, it's all he's whatever his situation is. That's up to him financially, but I mean, he should be good for life. I mean,
I saw Jeff Schwartz, who came on this
oh
podcast,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
He's
What he
one,
said.
one of the smartest former
He's
players
Jeff's.
going.
Oh, he's so good.
He made, I think it was him. I don't want to speak out of line, but I think he made the point on Twitter that yeah, it sounds, he's thinking about retirement until you got to start, paying money back to the Rams and you get down to the nitty-gritty and what you know a team. So I don't know what the breakdown is on his contract.
I don't either.
But I hope he doesn't. He's so fun to watch.
No. Amazing.
I know Jalen Ramsey, he obviously got toasted there a little bit, but he's still a number one corner, a rare
It's.
lockdown corner. He's going to be
I'm
good for a
sorry.
while.
That position is.
It's so hard to play. They're
Is
going to
so
get
hard.
Robert Woods back. Robert Woods was out.
I know. It was good.
Odell Beckham. I think the Rams. We say this every time a team wins the Super Bowl, but they're
Beckham.
gonna be good next year.
That injury cost him. He should stay there if they want him back, especially coming off this injury, because he's not going to get the big deal now.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll get overpaid now. No way, not coming on. That's the second time on that one.
man, you're right.
So if the Rams want to keep him, he should stay there, whatever the price is, because that's going to be a great fit for you with Woods coming back, and
He can make up that money and endorsements and such in LA too. Like he won't be hurting. It's bad timing for an injury, but he'll be okay.
That injury that cost him some money.
Yeah. Super Bowl prediction 2022. Let's hear it. No, I don't.
I know.
It is so
It's like,
funny how
I can't
people
even-
are so
I
quick to
know.
turn the page and
I know. I was laughing. I was like, you sit there and watch that game, and sure enough, good old William and Mary in North Carolina, Wilmington, we're tipping off at 2 p.m. today. I was so happy. I was like, oh, this is perfect. Nice transition. Take my mind off. No football.
Yeah. Well, it was a fun season. It was. It
I
flew
agree.
by. I feel like we were just sitting here talking to
This
Chris
one went
Sims
fast.
to kick things off way back, and
I know. I agree.
um.
So okay, what are we gonna go and drink at Hamburg?
That's what we got to do. You know,
It has to go down. It has to go down.
I did talk to our buddy John Russo at Hamburg. They're booking up fast, but if people are interested, we can definitely do a spring draft extravaganza once again and have a little fun there. That was great to meet people. I want to do it again. And I can't say it enough. I mean, hey, the season's over, but I really think we're just getting started. I love the off season. It's such a great opportunity to sit down with these players, do some long form stories, and figure out the how, the why, the what. There are a ton of questions around this league, and I feel like we were just talking about Aaron Rodgers' future. That's a biggie. What
Well,
about Baker Mayfield, Cleveland? What's going to happen there?
I was thinking about that. It's funny. The Rodgers thing is going to dominate the. He's going to
As
dominate.
long as he wants it to dominate it, you know. Very interesting that the day before the Super Bowl, both of the heavyweights, right? Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, know them both, and if they're putting something out there, standing behind it, they're both talking to people in the Packers organization, and the Packers are putting it out there very publicly that they want to pay Aaron Rodgers a lot of money, and they will move mountains to make it happen. And I thought Andrew Brandt nailed it. Like, as somebody that worked for the Packers and has been in the league, a little odd that would be made public, right? Like, why would you put that out there? I think that it could be true. Like, they obviously, he's the MVP, you want him back, but Aaron Rodgers clearly has the leverage now, and they gave him the freedom to seek a trade and go where he wants, if that's what he wants. And if they do trade him, well, they can kind of look back and say, we tried. Like, we were willing to go to this extreme for him.
We did everything we could.
So that's a biggie. We'll talk about it. Kyler Murray, Arizona. Very strange situation there.
Really strange.
You know, I had heard things about his leadership, people with the team that aren't really seeing much in that department out of Kyler Murray. I think that they're unhappy with him, and I think Kyler Murray's probably trying to let the Cardinals know, hey, look, you know, my contract's going to be up soon. Let's see a little something. Where there's smoke, there's fire. How big is that fire? That's the question.
I think
that's what's a storyline, Jim?
How many NFL players sit with the commissioner? Why is Russell Wilson always with the commissioner?
It's not a coincidence.
I need to know what's going on with that.
He wants to be an owner. He wants to own a team.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
And
like, if that's true, if that's really true, I think that would be great.
He's going to get out of Seattle. I just cannot see him in Seattle. I know he's saying all the lovey-dovey things, but, you know, Russell Wilson says a lot of lovey-dovey things. With the way last season went down, I'd be shocked. I don't know if there was another backdoor agreement that we don't know about with Seattle and Russell Wilson. Maybe he does have the ability to get out if he wants out. Pete Carroll isn't going to want to rebuild. John Schneider probably is willing to. It's going to be the offseason of the quarterback all over again. Probably more so than last offseason. There's a lot of teams that are going to, Kirk Cousins, the Vikings, all these situations. A lot of teams are looking to reset.
There's a lot. There's probably a lot of teams with all these new coaches too. And these quarterback, like new coaches that may need could be the all-in method for a guy, you know, who knows? Just like there.
I don't know. Like, you made the great point too. Like, it's not a model, a blueprint. Teams are going to try to go all in though, right? They're going to try.
It wouldn't shock me to see somebody doing all in for one, like for a Rodgers or a Russell. That would not surprise me. Now, you know, that wouldn't surprise me.
Here's where I was probably wrong on the Rodgers thing. and I was really stressing how they could get so much for him last offseason. And I really didn't think, you fast forward a year, he's a year older, a year of wear and tear, that price tag I just really thought would go down. It's still going to be pretty high.
I
Like
think it's
they
gonna be
can,
high.
especially with what Stafford just did with the Rams. There's going to be teams out there. I mean, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, why wouldn't you just try to blow the Packers away? If you're the Denver Broncos, blow the Packers away. And it would behoove Green Bay if Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to be there, right? If he does, they'll bring him
If
back,
he's
even though you know how far he'll take you. But there's going to be an opportunity there. Russell Wilson, there'll be an opportunity there. Kyler Murray, are we there already with him? Like, would they move Kyler Murray? Maybe. I don't know.
you can't say anything's off that. I agree. That's what I'm saying. You don't know now. As soon as if you don't have a quarterback and you see that story come out on Murray, okay, let's talk. Let's pick up the phone. What do you want to throw at him?
Hey, if you're Mike McDaniel, not to
Yeah.
completely switch
Yeah,
gears,
yeah.
are you just completely embracing Tua Tagovailoa? Like, do you really? Maybe that's part of the deal when he's interviewing for the
Yes.
job. Like Stephen Ross is saying, "Hey, we believe in Tua. You've got to believe in Tua. Make it work
I think you embrace him.
for at least a year."
I think you embrace him for sure.
You
He
think
played
there's something
okay.
in Tua?
No, I think I came to the conclusion watching him that he is a Garoppolo, like that style where he can get you, I think, so far. But he does do some good things.
Yeah.
He did play well. He did some really good things on third down this year that I liked. I thought he showed some toughness running the ball. He just makes some really, he's not a good decision maker. And he doesn't test you down the field.
Right. Right. And I like Devontae Parker.
I like him, but I'm kind of like need him to actually start really doing it. I liked him too. I thought he was a weapon. I thought
They'll
we'll
probably
see.
try to be a running team, right? He's going to try to replicate what they had in San Francisco.
It's so hard. It's so hard. He's probably
It is.
because their offensive line isn't necessarily that San Fran offensive line. They operated like, I mean, there's not an offensive line that looked prettier moving, watching football. Like the way they move, and they're so intelligent as a group. Like they know exactly who they need to block all the time.
Oh, there's so many directions we can go here, and
I'm
it's going to
sorry.
be
Yeah,
a lot
we're
of
just
fun.
yeah. No, that's
It
good.
is. It's hope is in the air for 32 teams
There's
all
a lot
over
of teams
again.
excited.
I mean, if the Cincinnati Bengals can do it, why can't another team, right? So
Amazing.
all right. Well, everybody out there, thank you so much for listening to this podcast, watching it. God bless you if you're watching us right now at golongtda.com. We appreciate it. We're gonna keep this rolling, man. I don't see why we should stop. Let's do it. I want to get Bob McGinn on one of these. Let's do a go long season wrap up happy hour.
Plenty to talk about. Things are gonna keep happening. Plenty to talk about.
No doubt about it. Hit us up. Let us know what you want to hear, what you want to read. We'll make it happen. And as we've said several times over, the happy hours are back, baby. Stevie Johnson came on last weekend. He was entertaining as hell, insightful. It was a lot of fun. So check that one out. And let us know who you want to hang out with. It's a community. We'll find it. We have a Bears fan who subscribes, Jim. He wanted to hang out with Olin Kreutz. Olin was all about it. So
that's pretty
Frank
cool.
Winters, same thing. Leroy Butler is a Hall of Famer. We'll bring Leroy back.
I forgot to text you that. We were talking, you mentioned that the other night. That's pretty cool. I loved him.
He's
as
the
a
kind of guy
Packers
Leroy
fan.
is too. Like he just, the night that he got his jacket, I'm like, I'm just gonna text him and just congratulate him. And I text him. There is zero chance that you're even checking your phone right now.
Yeah.
15 seconds later, he texts back. Like, and it's not because We've
No,
got a
no,
relationship. I'm not
that's
making
what
it.
he does.
He's just that kind of guy. He
That's what he
probably
does.
texted back every single person that reached out to him because he's just a good human being.
He, I love it because I grew up a Packers fan like you did, and he, for me, believe it or not, like made me really appreciate safeties.
Yeah.
Like I was I don't know if I ever really appreciated safeties, but watching the Packers all the time, you're like, this, like he made such a difference on that team. And it always, when I thought of, like, he made me realize how important safeties are for a defense.
He revolutionized it. And we throw that
He
term
did.
around a lot, but he really did,
He did. He
covering
did.
receivers,
Awesome.
blitzing with Fritz
It was
Shermer's
awesome.
scheme.
It was
I think he had
awesome.
6.5 sacks the year they won the Super Bowl.
It didn't even yes, I'm so glad he got in.
You know, random, but with was it T. Higgins with the face mask or the ripping the face mask of Jalen Rams? I can still remember the Jerry Rice fumbled game, the wild card against San Francisco.
Mhm.
There's a play where Garrison Hurst shoves his hand in Leroy Butler's like his face mask, and his head's up like this, and they didn't call it. They didn't call it then. So I don't know.
That's good.
But
That's
Leroy,
a
I
good
kind of like
call,
this
yeah.
class. There's not really this one headliner,
Yeah.
but there's deserve like Tony Baselli. Um, I don't know. Is there a player that got in that you're like, I'm glad that player got in?
No, I told you, I need the Hall of Fame to be every other year.
You think too many guys are getting in?
It's just, it's not, no, because I'm not saying they weren't great players or worthy. It's just the event of it all is like, I don't know.
I can get down with that. You're right. Dick Vermeil. Eh,
I'm like, I don't know. Like,
I don't
and then
know.
the way we just automatically throw Stafford in now, like that was the old talk last, is Stafford a Hall of Famer? That's
Oh,
everyone's talking about today, and they're saying yes. And yeah, they're probably right. He probably deserves it now based on stats and a championship. His stats are off the charts.
yeah.
Now he's got his ring. So yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, sure. I mean, I never really, I don't know. I just, for some reason, I wore out. I'm not into it like I used to be. And it's not, and it's not about the players. They're all, like I'm saying, they're deserving. It's just the event of it. I'm like,
I don't know. I think it might be a little watered down. It's
yeah, maybe that's
every
what it
year
is.
there are a couple guys that I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like Don Coryell isn't in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he changed pro football. Like he's the reason there is a nickel defense and a dime defense. And it's insane when you really go back and look at what those Charger teams did. It's what
Yeah, no,
led
I like what you.
to the
Yeah,
Cowboys 3 Super Bowls and the greatest show on turf and
yeah,
a route tree and play call, like things we just take for granted started with him.
yeah.
That should be enshrined. I don't care they didn't win a Super Bowl. Like he changed the sport. So I guess Dick Vermeil for me this year is the one where I don't. Please, somebody tell me if I'm dead wrong.
I don't know either. That's all. You're great. Somebody's gonna tell you you're dead wrong, but I don't know. I'm with you. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Let's call it quits right there.
I just want to see
And
how many people come at you about Dick Vermeil now.
anti Dick Vermeil. I mean, even the Rams, like that was Kurt Warner and Marshall Falk and Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt
That's
and Mike
funny.
Martz, which, by the way, they won with Don Coryell's offense.
That's
Wasn't Dick Vermeil, you know? I yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he's a terrible coach, but
no. I hear you.
he
I
was
hear you.
okay, I guess.
When you hear
Hall
his
of
name,
Fame,
you just don't think Hall of Fame right away.
and it brings it kind of like the clout and what it means to be a Hall of Famer. It kind of chips away at that when
That's a good. I like how you just said that. Chips away at it.
Morton Anderson getting in ahead of Terrell Owens, like that was insane.
That yeah. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And I've got a lot of friends that are on the Hall of Fame committee, and they're unbelievable at what they do. It's a job that I do not want. Like they sit in this room literally all day and debate this stuff, and it is a
And
painstaking
yeah,
process. I mean, we had Peter King on to talk about it, and it's like, holy crap! Like I give all the credit. These guys, they've got a process, and
it can't be.
it's
It has to be
difficult.
like, yeah, it has to be. It has to be.
I do
Because
think
we're gonna
though,
talk
like,
about
why not scouts? Why don't people like you, like NFL scouts, should maybe vote on this stuff, right? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Well, now you're gonna water it down.
I
I'm just kidding. No, I'm with you though. I'm with you. I mean, you could go that in deep with it. You really could.
All right,
All
Dick
right.
Vermeil, if you're listening, you're welcome to come on the podcast anytime. Thanks so much, everyone.